Hi guys, as my regulars will know, I'm no stranger to casting, and I've already shared a few home foundry builds with you. So when DevilForge asked me to review one of their home foundries, I was thrilled. DevilForge sell a variety of foundries and burners, allowing you to select a product that best suits your needs. They've sent me their FB2M Foundry, and they've been kind enough to attach this stainless steel plate on top. But with that said, this is not a paid endorsement, guys. Yes, DevilForge have given me this foundry, but everything that follows is strictly an independent review. It's an off-the-shelf foundry, no assembly is required, and other than hooking up a burner, it's ready to go. I have to be honest, my first thoughts were, it's a bit small, but actually it isn't, it's nice and compact in size. It's approximately 15 inches tall and 12 inches wide, with a 3-inch opening in the hinged lid. Internally it measures 9.5 inches high and 8 inches wide, and that's quite spacious. There's easily room for my A6 crucible, and I could certainly get an A7 crucible in there with comfort. It feels solid. It's a steel outer shell, and it's not flimsy in the slightest. It certainly appears built to last. The burner inlet is solidly attached with obvious and reassuring robust welding, and the opening measures 2 inches, giving plenty of room for a burner. I'm also pleased to see that this inlet has been angled to encourage the heat to circulate around the walls of the foundry, which is ideal. It doesn't rest on the ground directly, but has these steel feet, providing a useful insulating air gap beneath it. It weighs approximately 32 kilograms, so it is portable. To aid this, it has 2 solid steel handles welded firmly either side, together with one on the hinged lid. Internally, the foundry has 2-inch thick walls. There's an inch of high temperature ceramic insulation to help hold in and concentrate the heat. This is covered with a protective layer of refractory cement. Now, ceramic wall insulation is great stuff, but it's potentially hazardous to breathe in any airborne fibres it might emit. By covering the ceramic insulation with refractory, DevilForge have made this foundry perfectly safe to use without respiratory safety gear, which is excellent. This enables this sturdy little furnace to safely handle up to 1600 degrees Celsius, which is ample for most home foundry enthusiasts. DevilForge have also sent me a DFC PROF burner, which they describe as their professional burner. It's a nice solid bit of kit with a flared stainless steel nozzle. It has a gas shut-off valve, and it adjusts the gas-air mixture via this slide cover affair, which is very reminiscent of a Bunsen burner. DevilForge also supplied an adapter to connect their regulator to a standard UK propane bottle, and I understand they supply adapters to fit the various bottle types around the world. The burner gets pushed inside, but the nozzle should be level with the internal walls and not stick out into the inner foundry. It's then securely held in place by twisting these 3 bolts, and I found that hand tightening alone was good enough. DevilForge also supplied this small piece of ceramic wall to block off the end of the burner inlet. Before you reach for your crucible, you need to properly dry out the foundry, and this is done in stages. So I did that thing that I hate doing most. I read the instructions, and I strongly recommend you do the same. I ensured the gas pressure was 0.5 atm. I opened the lid of the foundry, fully closed the gas and air valve, turned on the supply valve, and lit it with a weed burner. Don't use a match. I slid back the gas air valve very slightly and wow, what a powerful little burner. I was very impressed. Now that's what you're looking for, a beautiful light blue flame, It's just a matter of gently sliding this adjustment valve back and forth to get the right balance. You're looking for a consistent flame and a steady roar without any rumble or popping. The drying stage should be gentle. After a few minutes, it's possible to see the dampness evaporating, and that's what's wanted. The foundry is heated for 10 minutes, then cooled for 15 minutes. This process is repeated 3 times. Then the lid is closed and the heating and cooling process is done again. Now, even though I was careful to follow these rules, I still saw some surface cracking appear. But having built a few home foundries myself, I know this is common enough, so it's not something that I'd worry about. But personally, I'd still recommend drying on a minimum pressure. Don't exceed 0.5 atm. In fact, I'd say 0.1 is better. Heat gently several times. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, so I decided to do a couple of tests. The first was an A6 crucible containing scraps of aluminium or aluminum depending on what part of the world you're from. The gas pressure is still nice and low, by the way, and I've speeded up this real-time footage. Within just a couple of minutes, the insides of the foundry were glowing red, and it seemed mere moments before the metal was molten inside the crucible and ready to pour. I let the foundry cool down for a while, then grabbed an old A4 crucible to melt some aluminium bronze. This required a much hotter melt temperature. Now again, I kept the gas pressure low. I could have forced a faster melt with a higher gas pressure, but I'm the sort of guy that doesn't like to thrape an engine. I prefer my engines to purr rather than scream, and that's the principle I apply here as well. As expected, this took longer to melt, but it was still a surprisingly short time. You can see the bronze is white hot. So the Devil Forge foundry certainly did its job nicely. One of the things with doing a review is coming up with criticisms, and I don't really have any. This forge performed admirably and much better, I think, than any foundry I've ever built, if I'm honest. But I do have thoughts on how it could be improved. If I were building this foundry, I would have placed the gas inlet at the side. Being at the front, as determined by the opening of the lid, the burner is within my work area. The hose can get in the way, and it's a potential tripping hazard. But if the burner was at the side, I could work more safely. Also, whilst these handles are sturdy, having a handle at the front of the lid means that I've got to expose my forearm to the heat of the foundry, meaning a long-sleeved glove is a must. But a simple side handle would prevent this problem. And an option to place this either side would be good for left or right-handed operators. As this is a review, I guess I've got to say whether or not people should buy the Devil Forge Foundry. And believe me, that's an easy one. Yes. I've built a few foundries and you'd learn with each one. They always cost more money to make than you think they will, and generally there's always something you wish you'd done differently. Is it too big? Is it too small? Is it lacking insulation? Etc. Devil Forge have got this foundry nailed in my eyes. It's sturdy and it's strong. It's spacious enough for the majority of uses. The burner is amazingly powerful and it heats up this compact foundry in mere minutes. I like it, and I think for the money it's probably better than most DIYers could make. So if you've got any questions about this foundry, guys, feel free to drop me a line. I'll be happy to help if I can. You'll also see me using this foundry quite frequently in upcoming videos, so keep an eye open for any updates in those. In the meantime, I think we can call this a finished video. So that's it for now, guys. Take care, and thanks for watching.